In life, you have many great mysteries. How the hell does this super speed glitch in Breath of the Wild work? Why can't I get a girlfriend? So on and so forth. But one question that has always appealed to me is what's the reason people like virtual reality? There's obviously an argument to be made of what the health benefits are, but that's another video entirely. The main reason people play normal games in VR is purely for the fun factor. The excitement of traversing the world of Skyrim and actually being the Dragonborn is an experience that few games can match. With that in mind, Payday 2. Payday 2 has captivated players since 2016 for having a unique premise, enticing gameplay, witty dialogue, and an amazing soundtrack to boot, along with developers who constantly update the game as often as possible. Earlier this year, they actually released a VR mode for the game that anyone with the base Payday 2 experience could download and play. So, what's the reason that someone would play the VR version of this already difficult game when VR has been known to make games harder than they already are? That's what I'm taking a look at. So to start off, we need to take a look at how well the transition to VR went. Most games make drastic changes to controls so as to make the experience better, but with Payday you don't need a whole lot of controls in the first place. There are three main ones that you'll regularly use, those being the trigger to shoot, the grip controls to grab and switch weapons on your utility belt, and the teleport or movement depending on your settings. Shooting feels nice thanks to some aim assist and compensation. The utility belt is a nice solution as you can always reach down for whatever you need, backs and weapons included, and the teleport is very nicely done, but if you're not the biggest fan, Overkill added in the option to move around by moving your thumb on the pad. I personally think teleport is the way to go as it lets you get around shield enemies, but I do appreciate they added the option in. But this does bring up an interesting question. From a gameplay standpoint, does VR make the game easier? Throughout the game, there are items that you have to dedicate your attention to in order to do things like get ammo, repair the drill, or grab bags of money. In VR, this only takes up one of your hands, whereas in the normal game it prohibits you from moving, shooting, etc. Not only that, but as stated before, you can teleport behind shield enemies, which make up one of the 4 special enemy types in the game. Eliminating 1/4 of the problem on higher difficulties can really mean the difference sometimes. But, on the flip side, stealth missions are actually harder to do in VR. It requires a lot more precision to pull off, and the amount of things needed to go right can really throw you off. Here, I actually have some footage of me attempting a stealth mission in VR, and I'd like you to see if you can pinpoint where the VR fails to deliver. Overall, I think VR is the definitive way to play Payday 2 if you plan on going in guns blazing, which is what I think Overkill was going for, as that's where you'll have the most fun. Controls are responsive, they innovate on the original formula and tailor it to VR instead of just recycling assets and ham-fisting them into a trashy VR experience, and if nothing else, there's always the soundtrack. First thing that you gotta do, obviously, is you gotta put on your mask. And you gotta walk through them at first. Alright, clearly this game is bugged. We're actually just gonna be waiting in line this time. It's a foolproof plan. Then we're gonna actually withdraw some of the money. So, here we go. We're just gonna be standing here. Oh, okay. Alright, clearly this game is fucking busted.